Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. This is District 14 Live. This is a show where we go over all of the important issues relating to District 14 Toastmasters, and we spotlight Toastmasters in the district doing great things inside as well as outside of the organization. Now, if you're not familiar with Toastmasters is a one international organization that focuses on the development of leadership and communication skills. I am Justin Hagan. I serve as Club Growth Director for the district. And this week, I have the pleasure of being with distinguished Toastmaster Versandra Kennebrew, talking about how to get the most out of Toastmasters. Versandra, welcome to the show.
It's definitely a pleasure to be here with you, Toastmaster Hagan.
Absolutely. I'm glad I was able to get you on here to talk about this topic. I'm excited about it. So before we get too much into the topic, I want to give everybody a chance to get to know who you are as a person, as a Toastmaster. So just tell me about, when did you get started in Toastmasters and what originally made you want to join Toastmasters and do something like this?
Well, it was June of 2016, and I had just written, I think, my fourth book. And I had this invitation to come and speak in Montreal, Quebec. And there I was, heading from Detroit, Michigan to Montreal to speak to a 90% French speaking audience. And this was something that was totally beyond anything I had ever done before in my life. But I did know my content and I know why I was invited there. So I did what I did and I felt really good about it. But after that trip, I looked at the video footage and everything and I listened to my own presentation and I thought to myself, I heard about this organization, Toastmasters, that helped you develop your ability to speak more professionally. And so I said, hey, now is the time. Maybe if I join this organization, it's going to help me as I gain more speaking opportunities. And also, I felt that that would help me sell more books.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So many of us join Toastmasters. It may be to gain confidence for a speech, for a project, for whatever it is right there in the immediate future. But you're still in it. I didn't realize we started almost right around the same time.
Yeah.
So what talk to me about, so you've given the speech, you've sold the books. What is keeping you in Toastmasters after all of these years?
Well, while I was in Toastmasters, I can just say that the very first day that I attended a meeting, I think it was the day that they were electing officers. And I heard the terminology, service, being a servant leader. And so I said to myself, this might be an opportunity for me to share some of my skill set, which my background had been in marketing. I'd been in retail for many years, and I was actually the marketing and community engagement for Whole Foods Market. And so I had a lot of skills as it related to public relations. And so they were looking for someone to serve in the role of vice president of public relations. And I thought to myself, hey, this is easy peasy. I can do it with my eyes closed. So why not bring my skill set into this club and help it grow? So I saw that there was an opportunity that, to me, it didn't seem like it would be so hard. This is nothing. I do it every day. And it challenged me because things are different when you're working with a nonprofit organization and working with a for-profit organization, because people, when they are getting paid, they are motivated by that first. But when you're dealing with a nonprofit organization where people are volunteering, it's a different animal altogether. So I felt that it was a great challenge for me to learn how to truly empower people to become the best version of themselves, because the work that I do now is really centered around coaching. And coaching is a part of what you have to do when you are growing leaders. And so I said to myself, okay, this really has way more benefits than just me getting what I get out of the deal. I could actually help other people as well. And so I took that road of leadership, and beyond VPPR, I became vice president of membership. I became vice president of education. I became the club president, and then 2 terms as area director. And now I'm on my 2nd term as division director, all learning how to ignite the next generation of leaders, which is now my personal mission as it relates to Toastmasters.
Wow, sounds like you've done many very important positions in Toastmasters. And just towards the end, you are leading up to what you're doing now. I want you to just maybe elaborate a little bit more on what you're currently doing in Toastmasters, maybe some of the projects, some of the things that are really exciting you about what you're doing in your leadership roles in the present moment within Toastmasters.
Yes, yes. Well, we know right now everybody's in the middle of this whole pandemic thing. And so, with that being in the background, it brings a whole new dynamic to leadership. And so, right now, I am focused on encouraging and inspiring the current club leaders and the district leaders to push forward, even in the middle of a pandemic type situation. So that is a huge challenge. And I don't do anything small. I believe go big or go home. So even in the middle of this whole thing, I was bringing about innovative ideas, such as bringing the mayor of our city to one of our events and actually honoring him with the Toastmasters Leadership Excellence Award. So in May of this past year, that was one of the things that our division did. And we thought that it would be the most excellent opportunity for us to really get people in Columbus, Georgia to know that Toastmasters exist, and that we are not only working on our own personal development, but we are aligning ourselves with the civic leaders, and we are showing ourselves to be a resource to those other individuals who are thinking about civic engagement and community engagement. And so that is one of the big projects that I am very proud to have brought to the Columbus area as the division director. But most, I guess, immediately that's happening in this very moment is that we are chartering a new club. And this is in collaboration with this wonderful university just across the Chattahoochee. It's Troy University. And so as I was looking to find my opportunity to bring about a new chartered club, I saw that there had been a Troy University Toastmasters Club at the Troy campus, which is Troy, Alabama, a little bit further away. And so I said to myself, this club is just across the river here. I can get to it in 5 minutes from my office. Why don't I challenge myself to get a new club there, since the other club was just chartered in April of last year? And so when I went and spoke with I think it was the vice chancellor of that university, it was a very intriguing conversation. And I challenged myself even there to get her to change her decision, because she first decided to not do this. And, she had her reasons why, but I was intent that it was happening. And so I had to pull out my own personal story. And that is very important to me because it makes up who I am. I know, some people think you shouldn't tell people, your personal business, because they make decisions about you based on that. But I tend to believe that your past is your past. your present is your present. And that if you had some challenging times in your life and you've overcome them, then you owe it to the people who are seeing you shine to let them know how you got there. And so I was very open and candid with her about the fact that I was homeless as an entrepreneur just 20 years ago. And during that time, I had to hold on to my vision of becoming a successful entrepreneur and pushing my way through, even while living in a homeless shelter for women. And so that helped her to understand that the market that they were seeking to tap into, because the university has its own students that are ready for the university learning setting. But those individuals in the community who are not quite ready for that, how do they get the learning and the education necessary, especially in leadership? And that was what their focus was. And so when I shared with them how Toastmasters has really supported me in gaining confidence, because you know one thing about it, once you have lost everything and you had to rebuild your life, generally your confidence is pretty low. And so I had to do a lot of work on myself to get myself back up to where I felt comfortable with getting in front of an audience. I even took on a role of an internship at a radio station and hosted a radio show for 3 years before my most recent find of becoming the host of a television show here locally. But that confidence was built through the Toastmasters education program. And I cannot go further without shouting out the Pathways program, because the Pathways program, the first path that I engaged in was the visionary communication. And visionary communication was really about honing in on this whole idea that you have something that's in your mind. It's something that's an idea, but you want to bring it into fruition. And you need the skill set and the ability to bring forth a team to help you to do that. And so I engaged in that visionary communication path. And by the time I completed it, we were deep into the pandemic. And there I was starting a new business flat in the middle of a pandemic. But I felt so confident doing that because that program gave me all of the everything that I needed in order to make that happen. So Toastmasters is, let me tell you, is absolutely phenomenal on so many levels. And I'm just so excited that I said yes and that I did not allow anything to hold me back from moving forward and being a part of this wonderful international organization.
That is outstanding. For one, I really appreciate you sharing and just being so open with your story. Sounds like Toastmasters has given you the confidence to share your story more and more with a wider range of people. And there was just so much in there that I connected with, especially once you started talking the language of growth and building and spreading the word of Toastmasters, especially in my role. I think it's so important to bring Toastmasters to the different communities that may not have been exposed to it, communities that people may not have realized needed Toastmasters. And whether it's clubs or just inviting people to join Toastmasters, I think that's so important that you're playing a role in that as well. And you talked about the confidence that it helps you build to go out and do other things and use what you call pathways, the educational program, working in that and then working on other projects because you gain confidence in there. I know with me, that was my reason for coming to Toastmasters. I just wanted to be more confident in talking to people in my business and spreading the word in that way. It sounds like you're doing the exact same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to say that when you're doing that, you're out there speaking about Toastmasters, but opportunities present themselves as a result of that. While I was there at the university at Troy, speaking to them about their possibility of gaining a new Toastmasters club, it turned into business for me. In fact, they ended up purchasing 20 copies of my
Oh,
book in order to give to other individuals who they were working with in a community leadership program. They ended up bringing our program in as the source for that community leadership. And so now we are doing so much more than just having a club. We are aligning Toastmasters with their community leadership project that they are launching for the first time, and they expect that it will last into perpetuity. you know
wow.
and it's just really a wonderful thing to see that there's a match. The work that I do and the Toastmasters work are really one. They are totally aligned, and that's something that I noticed when I learned about the core values of Toastmasters. We use the RISE as an acronym for that, but it is really awesome to work with an organization that shares similar core values. It makes it not work. It's not work. This is who I am, and it's what I do.
That's excellent. So to go back earlier in the interview when we asked about your start and your involvement in Toastmasters, you named position after position after position that you've been involved in. This director, this club role. Talk to me about some of the benefits of somebody getting involved in Toastmasters and getting involved in those leadership positions at the club level as well as outside of the club level like you've done.
Yes. Well, the one thing about it, you can read something in a book, you can do a project, and you can write a speech about it. And that's just one level of learning. Practice makes perfect. And so when you actually engage in a role and you're doing this for a 12-month period,
Mhm.
you are not only just talking about a 5 to 7 minute speech, you're talking about 12 months of engagement. And the proof is in the pudding. You can talk about it all day long, but if you don't get results, and I'm very proud to say, as area director, I was a select distinguished area director 2 years in a row. I can say that in the roles that I played at the club level, I was distinguished or higher presidents distinguished and select distinguished in those areas in my club. And so the proof is that I took on the role, I did everything that was required of the role, and at the end, I got a badge or a symbol that let me know I did it well. And so that's the difference. You're not just talking about it, you're being about it. And so I really love that opportunity to prove myself to myself, not to Toastmasters, but to myself. So when anyone asks me about, okay, your skill set in this area, I'm not just saying, well, I did a project. I'm saying I did a year of service, and it is service because it is volunteer. Nobody paid me to do this. I did this because I wanted to show up for me and in a high level way. And so when I did that, it was like, yes, 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 you got it. You can move on to the next thing. And so I kept moving on. And I'm hoping that people that are watching this right now are seeing themselves and seeing that you don't have to be perfect when you get into the role. You just have to be willing to say yes. And once you get there, let me tell you about the mentorship program. The mentoring that is offered through Toastmasters is such that you have a leader that you can really identify yourself. I identified my mentor myself. I saw her performing. She would come up. She was the president of my first club, Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster Emily Townsley. That young lady, it seemed like she floated every time she came to the front of the room, and she got behind the podium for all about 2 seconds, and she came out into the audience and
Oh,
she
wow.
engaged everyone. And I watched her from a distance, and then I came to her and asked her, would she be my mentor? So that is another great thing about the Toastmasters leadership, is that you get to choose mentors out of the hundreds of other leaders that are out there doing what you are looking to do. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can enhance the wheel and put a little bling on it if you want to, but you don't have to reinvent it because someone's already done it and done it well. And so that was really good for me, is to have a great mentor who I could have lunch with, get a cup of coffee with, reach out to her when I'm having struggles. And she supported me as I grew and developed. And even to this day, if I picked up the phone and called her, I'm sure that distinguished Toastmaster Emily Townsley would still answer my phone calls and assist me with whatever it was that I was needing.
Wow, it sounds like I could just hear the confidence that Toastmasters help you build through taking on these leadership positions.
Yes.
When we look at learning, we can learn by doing something. We also can learn by, as you talked about mentorship, seeing it done at a high level. So that's so impactful as far as the leadership journey that you've shared and everything that you shared with us so far. I appreciate you being so open with everything that we've talked about. Finish it off. I just want to have one question to close us out. So, what's the best leadership advice that you've received while in Toastmasters?
Well, I would say it's get a mentor, but I already talked about that. So let me come up with another one. I think the other one would probably be have a vision for yourself as far as what you want to take out of this experience. You have to know where you're headed before you can really find ways to bring about, or what they call now the law of attraction, attract to yourself what you need to help you get to that final destination. And so for me, my big thing is I want to be a successful government contractor providing wellness courses, education, and retreats for military, active duty military, and veterans. So, how do I use the Toastmasters platform in order to assist me with reaching that goal? So, that is what's in the back of my mind professionally. But then again, I go back to that core thing that I call my mission statement as a Toastmaster, and that is I want to ignite the next generation of leaders. I'm going to be 60 years old real soon. And as I think about that, I'm thinking about my legacy. And I'm not one that has children or, people that I can say, oh, my legacy is left here for my children. So my Toastmasters leaders that I support, they are my legacy as far as I'm concerned. And so that's what I keep at the forefront of my mind as I am continuing this path with Toastmasters International.
That's excellent. I think anybody listening to that interview, go back and listen to it. I believe you'll get so much on how to get the most out of Toastmasters as well as out of life. Versandra, I really appreciate you coming on the show. This concludes our episode of District 14 Live. If you're interested in Toastmasters, reach out to me, reach out to a Toastmaster in your area to get you connected to a club near you that fits your needs. Whatever you're looking to do, align yourself with Toastmasters that could truly help you out. Once again, Justin Hagan, Club Growth Director with Distinguished Toastmaster Versandra Kennebrew, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yes.
All right.